We are live. This is the NBA Rundown. Let me change the banner here. We were talking touchdowns on Friday here. Let's get back to the NBA Rundown. But Jayme, I can already tell we're gonna have a fired up show today. We talked for about 1 minute before the show, and we got to just start live right now.
Yep.
We're gonna break down tonight's games, guys. So stick with us. We'll give you winners for tonight. We got to talk about everything that we saw this weekend. Let's just get it over with. Let's start with your favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers, falling down 3-1 to Minnesota. Tell me about what you saw in those two games, because we've seen two since the last time we've talked.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you expecting going forward?
Yeah, well, game three, unfortunately, none of us knew. Nobody knew until the game started that Luka came in with a little bit of a tummy ache. My man was throwing up all day, which was pretty tough, but LeBron stepped up. What he had 38 points on 21 shot attempts, was aggressive, was the best defensive player on the floor. But ultimately, you just can't have 20 turnovers in a in a game in the NBA and win. And then fast forward to last night. I do think. Look, I picked the Lakers to come out of the West, but I also said before the series I wouldn't be completely shocked if the Timberwolves would. I mean, the West is really good, and I do think that we're just in the playoffs. It's exposing some inefficiencies with the Lakers. If you are forced to play five guys for the entire second half in round one when there's no injuries or anything that happened, you're probably in some trouble, right? And they just lack
All right,
depth.
let's stop right there. Let's go ahead. We're going to bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
Tyler gets mad at me for interrupting. I hope you don't.
No, you're good.
Do you think that was a mistake? Because I do. And I've been off season. I was laughing at Jonathan Nelson. What's up? I see you in the chat. I say, you're hiring a podcaster, LeBron's friend. This is going to be a disaster. You guys are screwed. And I come on this show and I've said, you know what? I was wrong. He's been a very good coach. He's updated the offense and the guys that bought in on the defensive end. However, I'm surprised the lack of criticism that he received. It was a terrible decision. And I was listening to an ESPN podcast right before we jumped on, and they said the same thing. Can you imagine if Thibodeau did this?
Yep.
How we would have responded?
Yeah.
How is it just flown under the radar?
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe because a lot of the guys, they didn't throw JJ under the bus and they said it wasn't an issue. But I 100% agree. Like JJ said after the game, he told the guys, hey, if you need out, let me out. Yeah, these are NBA players, right? It's like the old, you always like to do the old boxing or fighting analogies. Like most fighters aren't going to throw in the towel, right? It's up to the corner.
The trainer does it for him.
100%. Most players aren't just going to ask out in a playoff game. I thought it was terrible. There's just no way in my mind, like you can't bring in Gabe Vincent for 3 minutes, right? Or Jared Vanderbilt for 3 or 4 minutes. Like I get that he felt like this team didn't have the depth, but I just did not think it was smart to do, especially given the fact like it wasn't, on these other games they had 2 days of rest. In this game, they didn't even have one like full day, right? Or like the 2 full day kind of thing. Because they played like 39 hours. They played late Friday night and then they played afternoon on Sunday. So like 36 hours full of rest. So it's like like Luka is already struggles with his conditioning, coming off of a sickness. LeBron James is 40 years old. Like I did not think that was smart to do. And I kind of had a bad feeling when that fourth quarter started that this was the guys looked a little fatigued to me. Like the offense got stagnant. We started playing a lot of Luka ISO ball, which I love Luka, but he dribbles the air out of the ball sometimes, man. Like it's just, I mean, and another thing too, like Luka can't have games where he has 2 assists or he has 1 assist like he did in game one. If you have the ball in your hand, if you have a 35% usage rate or whatever it is, you just cannot have 1 or 2 assists. You just can't do it. And we all know Luka's game is, he's a great passer. That's what makes him great, right? He averages like 8 or 9 assists in the playoffs for his career. So when situations like that happens, it's a little frustrating. It's one of those things where the Lakers easily could be up 3-1 right now. But obviously that's basketball, right? It's like it's a game of thin margins.
Yeah, I mean we could do that with the Pistons series too, right? They could be up 3-1.
And then we'll talk about that probably in a bit too. But the 100%. So if they were up 3-1, I wouldn't be completely shocked. But it is what it is. I thought, and this is what we kind of talked about before, but LeBron James has been the best defensive player in the playoffs. There is just
Okay, I
no.
disagree with you there, but make your case.
He leads the NBA in stocks in the playoffs. He has 17 combined blocks and steals. The second highest is OG Anunoby, I think, with like 12 or 13. He leads
Okay.
the NBA in loose balls with 4. The next highest, I think, is 2. He has the lowest field goal percentage allowed at the rim because the Lakers do not have a rim protector because of their lack of size. So he is forced to do that. He is also guarding positions 1 through 5. He will guard Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels. He will guard every single position on the floor. He is objectively been the best defender in the NBA playoffs. And you can point out other guys who have been well, but those guys aren't guarding positions 1 through 5. Those guys don't have the numbers that LeBron has. I get that you don't like LeBron, and that is totally fine. You have a right to your opinion, but you do not have a right to not look at the facts. And the facts are he has simply been the best defensive player at age 40. And an issue is he's now forced to be one of the better offensive players. And real quick before you go on this, I just want to toot my own horn for a second. Right before the series, I did give out LeBron James most rebounds at plus 1,600. It's not done yet, but he is sitting at 38, which is 7 higher than second place Anthony Edwards. So just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, I want to hear what your thoughts now on LeBron Defensive Player of the Year, or not Defensive Player of the Year, best defensive player in the playoffs.
I mean, you made some pretty good arguments there. I just, there's a couple other players that I would probably, you mentioned OG, and I know he doesn't have the stocks, but he's been excellent as well. Let's see, I'm trying to think. On the Magic, we've seen a lot of good defense so far. But okay, you made a good point there. I would actually just pivot. I'll go ahead and concede that to you, and that's one of the reasons he pisses me off, because he doesn't do this all the time. He doesn't do this all the time.
He can't. Okay. This is my thing too. Nobody gets held to a higher standard than LeBron James. When Michael Jordan was playing for the Wizards,
because nobody else is saying that they're the greatest player of all time and degenerating past accomplishments of players that came before them. No one in the NFL does that. You don't hear Tom Brady saying, I could throw for 700 yards a game if I played in the 70s. He doesn't say stupid stuff like that, but he does. That's why we hold him to the standards.
Well, Tom Brady doesn't get scrutinized as much as LeBron James. That's just a fact. LeBron James has been scrutinized since he was 16 years old. So that's one, right? Secondly, he is 40 years old. He should not be doing anything that LeBron James does extra at this point in his career is just adding to his legacy. You cannot diminish anything, because if LeBron James was playing 20 minutes a game in the playoffs and averaging 15 and 6, he'd still be the greatest 40-year-old in the playoffs in the history of the NBA. But instead, he's averaging 28, 12, and like 6 in the playoffs after just playing 46 minutes. Like, I'm so tired of people who just so stuck in the 90s and they love MJ and they love all these old heads that they just like want to hate on this dude instead of appreciating the fact of what this guy is doing at age 40. How he's still, the reality is he's the second best player in this series. And number 1 has been Anthony Edwards, and 3 has been Luka Doncic. And that to me is a testimony to how good this guy is, man. Like it is insane. I'm so done with the hate on it, man. Like people say they want him to retire. You said you want him to retire. That's sad.
I do.
That you feel that. That's sad.
Because he overshadows all the other conversation around the game.
That's not his fault.
Everything is about him.
That's not his fault.
Okay. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah, that's what I say. That is not his fault. I want to sit here. My thing is, I'm a little younger than you, a little bit, right? So I didn't get to see MJ in his prime. I would have loved to watch MJ at his later years as an age I am now. I was in like high school, like a little bit younger than that. So I didn't fully get to appreciate it. I would love to go back and appreciate it because I want to be able to see the greats play as long as possible. I love watching Steph Curry play, Kevin Durant play. These are all-time great players, and we have the ability to watch these guys still play at a high level. I want to be able to watch him as long as possible, and I don't want people to take it for granted of what LeBron James is doing, man. It's been honestly remarkable stuff, and it's unfortunate that he has to be the best player on the Lakers so far through 4 games at age 40, because that's kind of what we all thought would not be the case when Luka came over. And like Luka's a better offensive player, but he's not even close to as good of a defensive player as LeBron. So it's been frustrating. There's some things like with Luka, like you can't have 20 assists and 18 turnovers in the series. Like you just can't. He plays too much ISO ball. I saw Luka, he averages 1.29 points per possession on set plays. He averages 0.9 points per possession on freelance. And now we can have the argument of, is this a JJ Redick thing? Is JJ just not running organized offense at a high enough rate? Or is this Luka just going off script and dribbling, 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 dribbling? I think it probably is a little bit of a mixture of both. But honestly, until that gets fixed, the ceiling of this team is limited. And I said that before we did our shows on the first series. This playoffs to me, this season now is just playing with house money. No one thought the Lakers really had a chance when they did this trade. Everyone said it was going to help them in the future. The team that is constructed now is not built around a Luka team. You can't not have a lob threat. Like Jackson Hayes become unplayable, right? So it is what it is. And like I said, my opinions have definitely changed. Of overall, this team has no shot at beating a team like Boston in the best of 7 if that were to happen. OKC, I still think that, I mean, it'd be tough. It's going to be tough. I do think Jackson Hayes is more playable in that series. I think I underestimated Minnesota a little bit. There's some more physical team. They got more guys that can get buckets. And also hats off to Julius Randle, a guy who's been terrible all playoffs.
Is that the biggest surprise of the series?
100%. Remember, I said that's what I thought the Lakers were going to abuse him. I thought they were going to force him to make shots, and he's turned out to be probably the second best player on Minnesota. He's probably
for sure. It's been he's put himself in the conversation. Like if you're to do tiers, Ant, Luka, LeBron, Randall, they're at the top tier. Those are the most elite players on the floor, and I cannot believe that we're sitting here saying that because I did not expect that at all. And where he's gone in his career, he's been kind of lazy and lackadaisical at times. He could wipe it. He's already made $200 million.
Yeah,
I give him credit. For overcoming some adversity.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, he's played well.
I want to go ahead and defend myself on these claims, right? Because I know I come off as a hater, but I also I just hate denigrating sports in general. So I hate that they denigrate the old games. I also hate that these old heads talk shit about today's game. They don't play defense. Bullshit. These guys are out there busting. Even in the regular season, they go, oh, they don't play defense. No, they're not physical because they know they'll get foul calls. And I have seen some games where there's no defense, like Washington Wizards, right? I've seen some games. But for the most part, these guys are just impossible to cover. These guys could try their ass off. You can't stay in front of Halliburton. You can't stay in front of Giannis. You can't stop Luka.
Nope.
You see what I'm saying? So I hate the criticisms of today's games too. So I just hate hatred all the way. And for the younger people to understand, and I saw an old guy on this on Twitter, so I'm stealing it from him. And to illustrate my perspective, what would you say 20 years from now, right? You're talking to a kid in his 20s, and he says, Steph Curry sucks. He only played against plumbers, right? Because these guys are going to be more athletic, right? I mean, there's no reason to not assume that the guys won't be able to run faster, jump higher. We've seen how much in the NFL they've grown. Wouldn't you be pissed off because Steph Curry is an awesome player? Yeah. And if they're trying, he didn't do shit. It was easy to play back then. You would just get mad. So that's how I feel when you tell me guys like Craig Hodges and Dale Ellis, and I'm using the guy's exact number, guys, and Mark Price couldn't play in today's game because I know they can because I've watched it. And that's what really pisses me off. And the reason LeBron made me mad was because he feeds into that. And he feeds there's a bunch of people that are just clutch media. And when he said that Giannis could score 250 points in a game in the 70s, it just pissed me off so much. I said, I've never seen an all-time great disrespect the past of his sport in any other sport. I never heard Barry Bonds go, I would have hit 100 home runs back in the 50s. No, he had so much respect for Willie Mays. He had so much for Mickey Mantle, and I just don't see the respect from him, and that's what I get mad about.
Is Shaq an all-time great to you?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, is he? Do you consider him an all-time great?
He's not in my top 10. He's an all-time great. He's not in my top 10.
Well,
though.
because you
Probably
said
like
you
the
don't.
fifth or sixth best center of all time. I don't like Shaq either. Don't even get me started. He ruined that Inside the NBA show. He is the worst.
He is terrible. He's the most bitter guy I've ever seen in my life for whatever reason.
For what? He's got so much money. Talk about a great life.
Yeah, he is. He's just. It's always something. It's something weird with him, man. I don't fully get it. But
I don't even he wasn't even a hard worker.
No, he was literally. That's why Kobe got mad at him, right? It was because he would come in out of shape. But that was to my point, though, is when you said you never heard like LeBron's the first person to do that. No, LeBron is doing that because of these other all-time greats that have done it to LeBron. So now in my opinion, I feel like LeBron.
I would take the high road if I were him, and he doesn't.
He does.
We all
he does most of the time. He does most of the time. And he did that interview, but it is true. Like no one's stopping Giannis. I think because there's that narrative that people say, back in the day, like there's still literally, I see people on Twitter trying to say LeBron James would not be able to play in the 90s. He's 6'9", 270. Yeah.
No,
like
he would be just as good.
100%.
He would be just as good.
Yep. I'm with you. But yeah, either way on this series, man, it's look, I understand the numbers. Like 95% of the teams that go up 3-1, they win the series. I understand it's going to be tough. I don't think it is out of the question. Like I told you before.
I don't think it is either. 2 out of 3 at home, and they're going to get every foul call. So it's not over for sure.
Yeah, I look at it like if you look at it one game at a time. Game 5, I'll tell you right now, I will be truthfully shocked and disappointed if the Lakers lose Game 5. Like to me, this is a classic spot at home. The Lakers are going to play with a lot of energy, and there's also kind of that classic spot where the Timberwolves come in complacent, right? They now are coming on the road. They know they just have to win one. You come in a little bit complacent. You lose that. Now, Game 6, I personally think the entire series revolves around Game 6, right? If Timberwolves win that and they win it all, or if it goes to Game 7, I would take Luka and LeBron anywhere on this earth in a Game 7. But if you tell me it's a Game 7 at home, they're going to be 5 or 6 point favorites in that game, right? It's like I will take them there. And then in the Game 6, don't you think too that now all of a sudden the pressure is going to be on Minnesota? Because all the narrative is going to be you do not want to lose this Game 6 at home and now go play a Game 7 on the road, right? It's like, so then it's going to switch to where all the pressure will be on Minnesota. And we'll see what this team is made of, man. Anthony Edwards has been the best player in the series, man. I think if we did rankings, I would be curious to know like where he is in the rankings now of NBA. Because I feel like when we've talked about it, he normally isn't really in that top 5. And
I would agree, man. If we would have done this before the playoffs, I would have had Luka in my top 5 right now. I put Anthony Edwards ahead of him because of his two-way play. Because of the fact, let's just say Timberwolves are up by 1. Ant's a dog. I could throw Ant on LeBron. I could throw Ant on Luka. I can't do that with Luka.
No.
I'm down by 1. I got to go put Luka in the corner on Jaden McDaniels or Rudy Gobert because he will get killed. And the worst part about him, it's like Steph. Steph's not a good defender.
No.
He usually tries pretty hard, though.
Yeah.
Luka pisses me off because you see the lack of effort there. So, all right.
Yep.
So that was our Lakers talk. 18 minutes into the show, we might as well be ESPN leading with the Lakers.
100%.
Right?
100%.
And I wonder how much the viewership declines when they're out because it just feels like 50% of the league roots for the Lakers, and maybe it's different for me because I'm on the West Coast, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I hate the Lakers the most. I bet you if I lived on the East Coast, I'd hate the Yankees the most.
Yeah.
It's just, I know some Yankees fans, but it's not that many.
Yeah.
I'd say like 50% of the people that I know that watch basketball are Lakers fans. And I'd say, probably 30% are Kings fans and then 20% are like Warriors or, 2% just random teams they grew up with. Okay. So we've talked about that. Let's talk about some of the other series. We mentioned the Knicks earlier. We mentioned Thibodeau earlier. Man, I cannot believe. So I actually wrote about them. Was it yesterday or today? I think. Anyways, and I said Detroit fans have to be disappointed and optimistic at the same time. You're disappointed that you lost these 2 games. Both of them were winnable. Game 1 was winnable. But you have to be optimistic because everything you're seeing says we are going up from here. This is not a facade. This is not a fake run. They are going toe-to-toe with the New York Knicks, who are clearly in that second tier of the East and might be in a tier of their own ahead of the Indiana Pacers. I mean, we'll find out. Let's see how they do against Cleveland, as that appears to be the way the series is going. But, boy, Detroit has looked good, and they are close. I mean, and I don't think they need to add anyone in free agency. If Jaden Ivey comes back and gives them a secondary creator, this team is going to be really good. You got to think that Cade's going to continue to improve. It's Astaire, right? Thompson. He's going to continue to improve. You can mix those vets in and out. Hardaway Jr., Beasley, those guys are replaceable even if they get old. And Jalen Duren's only going to continue to improve. I think you have to be, like I said, disappointed yet optimistic if you're a Pistons fan. And I'll tell you what, I was disappointed that Cade shot went in and out. I thought for sure that series was going 2-2.
Yeah.
I thought for sure we were going to get a series there. Disappointing. Feels like the Knicks do close it out at home. But you got to be happy if you're a Pistons fan. As a Kings fan, I would love for this type of showing and this type of future. What did you think of the Knicks and the Pistons?
Well, I mean, you kind of buried the lead here, man. Like, what about the last shot? The foul?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, if you're a Pistons fan,
you're right, because if that was the Lakers, that's all I would have talked about for the whole first 20 minutes, right? And it's the same thing. It's the New York team getting it over Detroit, right? Good point. Yeah.
I mean, that is, and then just for the NBA to come out afterwards and say, yeah, that was a foul. It should have been called.
Yep.
I don't know necessarily what can be done. There needs to be something where it's like, okay, if the game literally ends on something, again, I don't even know how to do it, but you just can't end a game that is literally going to determine the series now. Like 2-2 to 3-1 is just completely different. If I was a Pistons fan, I would be sick. But I bet on the Knicks, and you were on the Pistons, so I will take my victory lap. Although
you got it there.
I clearly got lucky.
I'll tell you what, I was disappointed, man. I really thought we were going to do it.
You're right though about like the optimism for the future. It is a team, I think, in the future that is going to be a good team. I don't think they need to add anyone, but if they did, maybe like just one vet.
I mean, obviously you can add some people, but you're not desperate. Like I said,
no.
What do we need? We need a secondary scorer. Oh, we got Jaden Ivey coming back.
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey was getting really good before he got hurt this year. And I know this is crazy because the way these guys overuse themselves, everyone, the idea of a healthy team is crazy. But you got to think that the future's right there. Fairly deep draft. So here's the thing. When you're not looking for your superstar like the Kings are or some of these teams are, there's a lot of good players that are going to help you in this draft. Yeah. They're not going to be your number one, but they're going to come in and make great contributions right off the bat. And they come out too young, but a couple years. Who was I looking at that I was just like, God, to be this age, he's only going to get better. I'll come back to that. But yeah, pretty optimistic as a Pistons fan. Disappointed, man. I really thought that one had the chance to go 7, and I kind of thought the Knicks would win in a blowout in Game 7, right? It might not have been the best Game 7. I thought it was going 7, and it's not. And I think New York's going to close it out at home. And we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But I think that's a really cool series, and that one's fun. That one's fun basketball. The Knicks have a really good team. They're playing with house money. Nobody thinks they're going to beat Boston, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Well, let's see what else we saw. Tyler's not here, but I won my plus 3.5 on the Magic because they were able to steal that one.
Yeah, that's Boston. Right.
And that one pissed me off because I bet Magic first half and not for full game and lost.
Yes, I did the same thing. How about that? Like, they go? What was the run? They went like a 14-0 run in the last couple of minutes of the because they were leading the whole half. Yeah, I know. You're both on the same thing.
Yeah, I had 2 TVs on, and I looked over and I'm like, wait, what? I'm going to lose that? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that one more tomorrow, but I mean, it's really whether or not the Celtics cover the 12, but
Yep.
that series is over. Another series that's over, Jayme, and another team that might be over as far as its current run is the Indiana Pacers over the Milwaukee Bucks. I thought that Milwaukee had a chance, another one to make it 2-2, right? I thought, hey, they lost 2 in Indiana, they get 2 in Milwaukee, and we got ourselves a series. But that wasn't the case at all. And Damian Lillard, to me, that was like career ending just for where he's at in his career. A bigger player might be able to come back and contribute, but he was already small, already bad on defense. I don't know, man. I think it's done. And I think as much as it sucks, I think Giannis is gonna have to leave.
Yeah.
That I wrote about this too. So for those who follow me on X, it's gonna be a fun article tomorrow. But I wrote basically the Milwaukee Bucks was a masterclass on how to destroy a title window with an MVP.
Yep.
Because every move they've made has been stupid. Trading Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard was dumb. Hiring Doc Rivers was dumb. Trading for Kyle Kuzma was dumb.
Yep.
There's nothing this franchise has done. If I'm him, you got to get out of there. And I hate to see it because I'm Mr. Small Market and Mr. Equality, and I want to see these plucky underdogs do well. But let's face the facts: for Giannis to be talked about in the postseason ever again, he's going to have to leave Milwaukee, and it's 100%. Too bad. But at least it's their fault, right? Like for the Kings, I can say, oh, we suck because we're a small market. No, we suck because our ownership sucks.
Yeah.
San Antonio's proved you can win in a small market. I don't know if Detroit's considered a small market, but they essentially are. Nobody cares about them. They're able to get it done. It comes down to ownership in the front office, and Milwaukee has been just a disaster. Your thoughts on the Damian Lillard injury? And what's crazy about this is once again, we're kind of just not even talking about the Pacers. The whole story of the series is the Bucks and their future.
I know. Yep. Man, that was brutal. I felt like he kind of rushed back a little bit just to try to help his team, go with the blood clots, and then, man, to tear your Achilles at isn't he 35 years old? Like,
it's over.
It's over, man. At least any part of him, like, being a main guy on the team, being an all-star, like, that's over, man. I hope not. Hopefully he gets some really good work done and he comes back better. But I don't see it. And as far as Giannis, he's definitely done. He should be too. I'm very big on player mobility. I believe if guys do not think that they have a situation that is conducive to winning for them, you aren't winning by yourself, right? Like look at Jokic and look at Giannis. Like Giannis, I would argue is probably the second best player in the NBA. Like I don't know where you would put him, but that's where I have him. And the fact that his team's about to lose, probably 4-1, I would imagine. I assume it's probably over. Like
it's
that's
over.
Pretty telling. Yeah,
Indiana's gonna smoke him the next game.
Yeah. It's disappointing. He's gonna go somewhere. And he also, what was it earlier this year when Luka went to LA, he said something in the media about how he wants like more European players in these big markets like New York or like LA. And so I'm interested to see him in New York would be that.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, I mean they would immediately become, him and Brunson, they would immediately become title contenders. Maybe the Lakers can, do a little, give you Austin Reeves, Rui, Dalton Connect, Jackson Hayes, the entire team outside of Luka and LeBron for Giannis, and we can run that. But I'm excited to see where he goes. I am a little opposite of you. Like I don't mind the small market, but I just think the NBA is better when the Lakers are better and the Knicks are better. Like when these teams are really good, when Boston's really good, I just feel like it maximizes the NBA. I get like from a pure fan standpoint, it is cool to have the Cavs and Sacramento and Milwaukee and these teams kind of play well and be in the mix. But as far as like NBA and their exposure, it is just
Let
better.
me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a perfect question for you. Why is the NFL able to have one of its premier franchises in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and it doesn't affect them at all? But yet the NBA needs teams in Los Angeles and New York to be good. What's the difference there?
I think people just like NFL more than NBA. That like the simple part. I just think and you look at the numbers. I mean, it kind of showcases that anyways. But the NFL, I think people just enjoy the sport of NFL more than NBA. I think your casual person does not watch much regular season NBA. Right? I just don't. Maybe on Christmas Day, which now with NFL
No,
probably
they
not as
don't. But
much.
if you think about it, and then let's go back to Shaq. When you get on TV after every single game and say that what you just watched doesn't matter, why am I going to tune in? You just made
I'm
me
with
feel
that
like an
100%.
idiot for spending 3 hours on it. I'm still pissed, and it's so funny how you remember certain things. Do you remember when Donovan Mitchell scored 50-something points, and Shaq gets on the post-game interview and says, "Do it in the playoffs."
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
bro, why am I fucking watching this then? Bro,
Yeah.
Amazon, and I've said this a million times, so I'm sorry I repeat myself, but Amazon will make you think that the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football, when both teams are 3-8, is can't miss television. And let's be honest, you are still watching the top pinnacle of sports. I don't give a fuck if you're the 450th player in the NBA. Any other spot, you would be amazing. If we went down and just saw some guy, we didn't even know his name, from the G League, and he was at our local 24-hour balling, I was telling you, Jayme, you should have seen this guy at the gym yesterday.
Yeah.
He was beating whole teams right? I mean, these guys are amazing athletes, and they don't promote it. And I think the NFL does such a better job. And the fact that, like I said, they can make a game between Tennessee and Jacksonville, two markets that nobody cares about, seem important, and get 20 million people to tune in. It really just shows the difference between treating your audience with respect and treating your product with respect.
Yeah, I agree. I will also say, though, I think that an individual NFL game has more impact than an individual NBA game because there's 82 games in a season.
Yeah,
So
but 3-8, what's the impact? And we still tune in droves.
no doubt, but it's still like there's less games. I think also more people do play fantasy football. They probably
True.
I think people probably bet more on the NFL. Just feels more like an event, right? Every Thursday night, every Monday night, every Sunday. And it feels like an event where I think your casual person doesn't quite get into NBA as much because the season is so long, and there kind of gets to be like, 2 to 3 months of the NBA season that feels like it's kind of just dragging, right in the middle, for your average fan. Like, not for me or not for you probably, but I think your average person
No, it
feels that
definitely
way.
drags. By the time the All-Star break gets here, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, it
I
does
need
drag
that
it.
week.
Yeah. It definitely drags. I will still watch them all, but I'm with
Yeah,
you.
we're still tuning in. Yeah.
Yeah. And real quick, I have to say something too. I want to get your thoughts on something. So when I was at the Lakers game, I was outside and some guy walked up. He does like TikToks or something. And he plays this game, right? Where he'll record you and it's like team versus team. So like he'll like randomize something on his phone and it will pop up with a team and you have to build a starting lineup, right? Based on, and you have to pick one player from that team, current or historical, whatever it is, and then you build out a lineup and compete. And I did something. I immediately afterwards, because I had a brain fart. 'Cause one, I'm on camera. I wasn't quite used to that. It was like a weird pressure. And I thought of you immediately and just how disappointed you would be. So I'm just curious, if I got pulled up the Pacers, what player would you say, it could be current, historical, anyways, that you would choose? And this is the first team that I got, so it could be any position. Is there a
Reggie
player like
Miller. Reggie
100%?
Miller, hands
I
down.
said I said Tyrese Halliburton. And I immediately after this whole thing was done, I looked at my wife and I was like, I'm gonna get roasted. Like if this guy posts this online, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get roasted in the comments because I just took Halliburton over Reggie Miller. But it was just a brain fart, like in that moment, I just couldn't think of it. So right when we talked about Pacers, I had to ask you because I thought of you right away. I was like, oh, Spread would absolutely hate the fact that I just took Halliburton over Reggie Miller, and I could have taken anybody.
And to be fair, by the time their careers are over,
You never
it
know.
might be it might not look that stupid. I think Halliburton's going to be really good. And
I think he's a good player.
About kind of, and I think we're still on the Pacers and the Bucks.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about how we're not talking about them. and they're heading 3-1. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. What does this team have to do for us to give them some respect? Because I'll admit, I'm part of the problem. I don't think about the Pacers at all. Like, I don't consider them a threat. I think they're going to get jacked up by Cleveland. And I could be dead wrong again because we've been underestimating this team all year. And I know they got off to a slow start. And maybe that's why. And it's just weird how same thing for games even. We kind of give more credence to the beginning of the game. For example, if the Lakers jumped out to a 15-point lead in game 5 and then they lose, right? We would say the Lakers blew it. We wouldn't say Minnesota raised their level in the second half, right? Because we assume the first half is what really matters. I think we do that with the season sometimes, but I can't believe how much we're overlooking this Indiana Pacers team. They have a championship coach. They're very versatile. I know Halliburton's a crappy defender, but the rest of those guys get out there and they're dogs. Yeah, they're a little small, but who isn't nowadays? Man, Indiana, I talk about small market bias, and I'm guilty of it myself. We're not giving this team any credit for being really good.
No, 100%. I mean, I think all three of us, I think, kind of leaned on the Milwaukee side. At least we thought there was value.
We were blinded by the star power. And to be fair, it was the plus 170. And I made a statement, if it was minus 110 either way, we take Indiana. I just felt, there was value on the plus 170. And I was wrong about all facets of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
me too.
It's not even like with Detroit, right? If I had to pick Detroit, I can say, well, Jayme, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I stand by my pick. It's hard to stand by the Milwaukee pick.
No.
Those losses could not have gone either way. They lost every single game by far. And they probably could have lost the other one. And I bet you at this point, they almost wish they did. Do you really want to go to Indiana and suit up and just get smoked and clowned on all game?
Yeah, it's done for, man, and it hasn't been close. I mean, Indiana's just a much better team. That's pretty clear, man. They're just and the reality.
I wonder though, are they really a much better team? Or if you switch coaches, would we be saying that about Milwaukee? Because I almost wondering if it's the coaching.
I think they're a much better team. I think, especially when you have a Dame was pretty limited, right? When he came back, Kyle Kuzma has been an absolute disappointment. Right, like that
I was
guy.
Hoping we get 2020 Kuzma.
Yeah,
dead.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So that team is pretty rough right now, outside of Giannis. I mean, Porter can get hot occasionally, but like it's Gary Trent Jr. I do think that is a solid player, but I just think the Pacers are better overall, and I think Halliburton he was voted as the most overrated player. I think now he's probably one of the more underrated players. That's wild.
You know what that vote should have been though? It should have been most unpopular player.
Yeah, it's popularity contest. 100%.
Like, player you dislike, the player you would least likely to go to the club with. The player who you are not sharing your favorite Instagram model with. Like I'm not.
Yep.
I mean, Giannis and LeBron were on that list.
I saw. I'm like, that is just. You just don't like the guys for whatever reason,
and
that's
like
fine.
Them.
Yeah. Like Halliburton, most overrated. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about, dude?
Let's have some fun with it. Who do you think it really is? And I won't allow myself to pick LeBron.
Yeah, I'll say you can't pick LeBron. That's tough, man. I think because it's so. I don't know. It's so subjective, right? So like, and I hate to even say this now, based on but what my initial thought was when this list came out, and I even hate to say it after what just literally happened last night, was Damian Lillard. And I mean that in like a not conducive to winning. I don't feel like his style of play is necessarily conducive to winning championships. I think that he could be a really good player on a bad team, right? And it makes some all-star games and be an all-pro potentially. Put up good numbers, but I don't think that his style of play is necessarily conducive to winning. A couple of years ago, I felt this way about Bradley Beal. Like last year was the Bradley Beal would have been my most overrated player, but now it's like everyone kind of sees it. So happen to be overrated if everyone thinks. And so Damian Lillard probably would have been mine. And like I said, I even hate to say that based off of what literally just happened. I think you could James Harden, but I don't even want it because he's been really good this year. I just kind of think about players that could maybe are conducive to winning or not. What do you think?
Yeah, Lillard's fairly easy right now, although I don't know if he's really rated that high.
Exactly.
I
It's
mean,
it's
if you
now I feel
ask
like his
anyone, like, what would you say be the 40th best player in the league?
see, I feel like his value has dropped. Whereas like I think at first, right, it probably was Damian Lillard, but then I think people see it enough where they're like, okay, you know.
Yeah. And so he's also a guy that's probably like when we look at his overall career, probably being hurt by these last couple years. If he would have
Yeah.
retired at 33, I think we have a way different version of him.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, let's see. So
It's
I'd probably
tough.
throw Paul George on there
Yeah.
because it's just like, what does he do for your team?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he has great highlights and everything, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Paul George
I'd put
definitely.
him on there. Um, Gosh, I don't know. I think it's a pretty tough question.
It is tough because I
To
feel like
me,
you and
it'd
I kind of
probably be all
properly rate
small
people.
guards that can't defend. Like
Yeah.
Trey might be on there
Yeah.
just because, okay,
Yeah.
like he's cool, but like, I don't know. We talked about this before. Unless he's the number 2, you're not going to win anything.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Zion, just because he's never going to play more than 30 games.
That's the thing, man. When he plays, he does look good. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the same thing with Embiid too, a little bit, right? The fact of his lack of availability. But we know when Embiid plays, he's a workhorse. It's a tough
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if it was Embiid's MVP year, I would have said Embiid because I didn't think he was the MVP that year.
No, he
I
wasn't. No.
thought that was voter fatigue.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah, that comes to mind. Not really. I mean, that is tough. All right, well, we're 41 minutes in and we haven't broken down a game, and we haven't talked about the most exciting series.
Yep.
Can you believe the ending to that game in
Dude.
game 4? So game 3 was
4.
boring. Game 3 was boring. I thought it was over. I thought, okay, I was wrong. I think was it this show we talked about, and I said, boy, if they fight tooth and nail at home where they have a good home court advantage and then they lose by 30 in Los Angeles, doesn't it just say that, hey, this is over? And then they get that improbable win. What a performance by the Nuggets. Let's talk about that. And then, Tim, I see your questions. I'm going to go ahead and put those in there as well. And we'll talk about that too. But, man, Clippers and Nuggets, man, great series. Great series.
Yeah.
And what sucks is both these teams are going to fight themselves to death and probably just get smoked in the next round
Yeah.
because they're so tired, right? We'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
That was wild, man. I mean the collapse that Denver had in that fourth quarter, right? I mean, they almost got scored by 20. I think it was like 18 or 16, 18, whatever it was, in that fourth quarter. And I could feel it, right? When it got down to like 11 and then it got down to like 9. I was like, oh yeah, this is happening right now. And dude, that shot, man, like it just, of course, Jokic, of course, right? It's a terrible shot attempt. 8 seconds, you have the ball at the half court, and that is what you settle with is a 7-foot Joker doing a little spin, turn around, fade away three, right? Terrible shot attempt that airballs and happens to hit Aaron Gordon straight in his hands for an alley oop dunk.
Right?
Like, dude, get out of here, bro. Like I'll be honest. Like I said, I live in Denver as a Lakers guy. I'm over Denver, man. I'm over it, and so sometimes I'll be honest. I hate watch. I will watch Denver, and
No,
I hate
welcome to
watch.
the club.
Dude, I do. I gotta be
Welcome to the
honest.
club. All
I do.
right. Well, if the Lakers and the Nuggets play, we should try and watch together. And like,
Yeah, dude, both.
it'll be
Both.
yeah. Emperor Palpatine will show up because there'll be so much hate flowing through us.
Yeah,
So I went
100%.
to watch Revenge of the Sith this weekend. It was fun. It was a
Nice.
re-release in the theaters. Where do you think it goes from here? Because I'm still all over the Clippers, and you talked about that bad shot attempt and how the great play bailed out bad coaching. The coaching advantage is what, and the depth. It just means too much to me. I think the Clippers win. Do they win Game 5? Probably, but great series. I still like Los Angeles, and a lot of it's due to the coaching.
Yeah, I think I still lean the Clippers. They still feel to me like the better overall team. I still think they have more depth, and um, I think they have the two better players, like the best duo. Obviously, Jokic is still the best player, but I still think Harden and Kawhi are would be 2 and 3 on that list, and
Powell's 4.
Powell's probably 4,
and Zubac
right?
is 5, and then we can try and throw Aaron Gordon in there or something, right? I
Yeah, because
mean,
Jamal Murray's been he's been a disappointment, honestly. Outside of 2023, like he's been pretty much a disappointment in the playoffs since then, unless he plays the Lakers, obviously.
that's
But
where the NBA sucks. Wouldn't it be so much better if you could just cut these guys that were making 50 million, let him go sign on a vet minimum somewhere else, and
yeah,
not just hamstring
yeah,
all-time
yeah,
greats championship window?
yep.
Because it's
It's
not that he
terrible, man.
can't play in the league, but when he's taking up a max salary slot, you
100%. It's
basically
value.
said you guys can't compete.
Yeah,
You can't compete. So
100%. But yeah, so I'm with you. I lean the Clippers. I honestly feel like it might go 7. Like in my head, I kind of think
I think it's
Nuggets.
going 7 too.
Yeah, I think
I think the
Nuggets
Clippers
probably
win
win
again.
5. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and the
That's
Nuggets are
what I'm thinking.
+2, +108 on the line. So let's talk about Tim's questions here, and then we've talked about all the series we will look into tonight. Might be a very stupid question, especially because the Nuggets lack competent role players. But are the Nuggets a better team this series with Russell Westbrook on the bench? Again, I know it's a dumb question, but they were beating the Clippers pretty good until the end. What do you
Uh,
think, Jayme?
I mean, I am a certified Russell Westbrook hater. To be honest with you, I respect the guy, but I don't think he's conducive to winning. I think the issue is that they kind of did what the Lakers did in the second half, right? But they did it for the full game. Outside of what Peyton Watson, I think, played like 11 or 12 minutes, and outside of that, you had a couple guys that played like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Let me see. Jalen Pickett played 6 minutes. So it was just really top heavy, which I just don't think is sustainable. And to be honest, maybe that is a reason why they fatigued and they played so poorly in the fourth quarter, was because every single person was playing like 44 minutes or 43 minutes in that game, all your starting five. I think Westbrook gives you juice off the bench. I think the issue with Westbrook, though, is that sometimes he can't control not shooting the ball or kind of making mental mistakes. I do think he brings in good energy, and I do think that he could be a good rebounder. I think he has the ability to play good defense at times, but I do understand Tim's point of like, uh, I mean, I don't think like he is super impactful for the team. So I see where he is saying, but I still think with this team's lack of depth, that having a guy like Westbrook is still probably somewhat valuable to be able to spell some of these guys and get you 10, 15 minutes, right? Because I just don't think it's sustainable to play your starting five, all of them for like 43 to 44 minutes every single night, right? I think we saw that in the fourth quarter when this team got drained, where I think maybe if you bring in a Russell Westbrook for 6, 7 minutes, let him get a lot of energy out there, and that potentially could have been more impactful. But like I said, I see his point. I don't think this Denver team can win with Russell Westbrook as well, right? But I also think just with your lack of depth, it is what it is.
I agree with two things you said. This Denver team can't win with Russell Westbrook. To me, it's a complete failure in the front office. It's a
Yeah,
complete
100%.
failure to put yourself in this position where you need him. And we see with him, and he's not the first one. And boy, I don't know how long you've been in Denver, but I remember one of my favorite players of all time going to Denver and being completely worthless. And his name was Allen Iverson.
Yep.
And when you are an elite athlete, sometimes your game doesn't age well. Yep. And we're seeing that with Russ. And we can see it because when you are as athletic as he is, why do you need to think? And so you have no basketball IQ there. And I think that you're seeing it. He doesn't understand how to do the little things that lead to winning, because he's used to doing the big things that lead to winning, because he was so incredibly gifted athletically. I still go back to his MVP season. I mean, that was amazing. I know they cherry picked rebounds. Like I remember Carmelo talking about it, right? Like, we all knew, right, on those uncontested rebounds that he was supposed to catch it, right? And I wouldn't catch it even if I was closer. But it's just one of those things where, to me, it's a tough situation because he shouldn't be in that position. He was really never built to be the aging vet on a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
He was built to be this burst of fire that was going to be awesome until he was 31 or 32 and then just be nothing.
Yep.
It's not Chris Paul out here, right? So,
Yep.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're a better team with him on the bench, though, because that's how bad this roster was created.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, I understand your point, and if you're in the situation where you're relying on him, you're screwed. But I don't know if they are if they're actually a better team without him, because even now, like athletically, he's still better than most of the players on their team.
Yeah.
Like, he can actually stay in front of guys. He can actually play the passing lanes correctly. Of course, he can create off the dribble still, which no one else on the team can do.
Yep.
Murray can't do it anymore. Don't even get me started on Porter Jr. At least Russ has heart.
Yeah.
He may make bonehead decisions, but at least it's out of a deep-rooted desire to win. And we talked about loafing on the floor. Try and find me a clip. You're not going to be able to find it. Find me a clip of Westbrook loafing on the floor. Find me a clip of him just hiding in the corner, resting on defense. Nope. He brings it every night. And I think that is a reason that you want him in the lineup too. So to me, it's just bad roster construction. So let's see what Denver does this offseason. But if the rumors are true that they wanted to trade Michael Porter and ownership said no, well, then once again, you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
Because Porter, maybe we could bring him in the most overrated conversation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What is he? He shoots threes and he rebounds. Great. Wonderful. He can't create his own shot. And if he's not making three, he gives up on the floor all the time. He should be a better defender than what he is, but he doesn't try hard. If you had a chance to offload that salary and you didn't do it, it was just malpractice, because Murray's a dead asset. Nobody's trading for Murray.
No. Yep. I'm with you 100%.
All right. That was fun, dude. That was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
Let's dive into tonight. And I can't wait to talk to you because I don't love anything. Tonight. The first game, the Miami Heat. So I didn't bet it, but I thought that they were going to cover that game against Cleveland.
Yeah.
In game 3. And they got smoked. They said the right things. They said we've never been swept. We're not getting swept. Spoelstra's never been swept. And he's coached for a long time now.
Yep.
However, we talk about trying hard, right? I can try my damnedest. I'm not going to be able to cover an NBA player, right? And I can give 110%, even though that doesn't exist. 100% effort. Doesn't matter, right? I almost think that could be the case with Miami tonight, where I'm not going to doubt their effort. I think they're definitely going to leave it all on the floor tonight. Is it going to matter? I don't know. I mean, and so I wrote about this game, and that should be out soon. They haven't sent me the link yet, but it'll be tweeted soon. And it's just like, Cleveland's so much better on offense, but at the same time, they can play defense just as good as Miami. So, like, what do the Heat do?
Yeah.
What's the adjustment? What's the matchup? To me, when I wrote about this today, the adjustment is Khalil Ware works his ass off this summer and becomes the star. And I think that's possible.
Yeah.
And this lineup, I wrote this very lineup that's getting smoked by the Cavaliers could give a lot of teams problems next year. All they need is Ware to make that leap. I love the defense. You got Davion, Wiggins, and Bam. It's fantastic. I got Hero to give you points. Fantastic. Give me two-way. Give me an Evan Mobley type growth from Khalil Ware, and I think this team is there next year. I don't think they need to do a lot. However, tonight, I think they're in trouble. It's only just the idea that they're going to leave it all out on the floor that's prevented me from laying it with Cleveland. This line was 8.5 when I wrote it up yesterday. It bounced to 9 when I woke up bright and early this morning. Now it's back to 8.5. So 8.5, 9. I'm sure if you want the 9, you can find it before the game tips. Where are you going on this game, Jayme? I really don't know what to do. If you force me to play it, I can make good arguments for both sides.
Yeah, I will not force you.
I'd probably take Miami, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll be transparent. I did bet Miami money line, and this is a complete
tonight.
bet on Yep, and this is a complete
Love it.
bet on Spo. This is not a recommended bet. I don't recommend people to tail, but I'm just being transparent. I put a half unit on their money line. Again, this is just a bet on Spo to get one. Never been swept. I think he's a great coach. A lot of respect for him. And it might just not even matter, right? It might just be Cleveland is just a much better team than Miami. It doesn't matter. And they get to lose by 30.
Mhm.
But I did take them on the money line. Like I said, don't recommend it. But it's for me, it's just an auto bet. All right. I just don't think they're going to get swept. And to be honest, I did the same thing in game three, right? I took them in game three. So I'm just if I lose a full
If
unit
you
on
go
these two.
1-1, though, you're going to be up.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what's great about these plus 300 money lines.
Yep, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
did. And if I lose both, I lose a unit because I just did a half unit on both. So no big deal. But yeah, I'm running roll with Miami and I have a little fun, man. And hopefully the game is close. I don't want to go in the fourth quarter down 24 and be like, okay, I got no shot. Let's at least have like I don't know, like an 87, 88 game heading into the fourth quarter, right? Like that would be fun. That would at least get the juices flowing for me a little bit. But I don't feel great about it. It's just like I said, a pure bet on Spo for me, and I would not be shocked if they got blown out either. So, but I did take Evan Mobley under 3.5 assists. I did see on FanDuel it's kind of juiced like minus 160 now, but that is a bet that I like. Honestly, I think fair value on that is probably like minus 180. To be honest, I don't see him getting 4 assists tonight, so I think the most likely outcome is he just lands right at 3. So um, that's the other bet that I have. But outside of that, I don't really love this game.
All right. Well, hey, I trust your acumen, and you're kind of getting me fired up, but I'm not as brave as you. But let's just say I wanted to say, hey, I like Jayme's handicap. I want to go a little different direction. So this isn't the game 3. You know how they totally changed those game 3s? Like, for
Yeah.
example, that first half we lost on Orlando. The game was plus 4.5, which would normally be a +2, +2.5 on the first half, and they made it +1 or 0.5.
Yeah.
Tonight is not that case. So I see right now +4.5 on a Miami first half bet. Maybe a way to kind of look at what you're saying, right? Coaching advantage, ability, matchups, these guys should be fired up, man. And I kind of liked what I heard on the quotes.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like the quotes I heard out of Milwaukee. They didn't get me fired up to play Milwaukee in game 5, right?
Yeah,
It seems like they're all kind of resigned to their fate. And I think, Giannis is maybe looking other cities, like maybe doing some apartment shopping in New York.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Brooklyn, we'll see where he ends up. But it feels to me like Miami's the way to go. What do you think of Miami first half as a way for me to kind of join hands with you here and kind of be on the same play?
I like that. I think that's pretty sharp, honestly, because I do feel like, right. I think if this team comes out with like urgency, like we expect them to, the more likely outcome is that they obviously lead a half or even be close at half. And I think there's probably a greater chance of them falling apart late, right? Like I think it'd be more unlikely for this team, right, to be down by 10 at half and then all of a sudden in the second half, turn it on. I feel like that is probably more unlikely. So I think that's sharp look.
And it's fun. I've done this type of content for years now, Jayme, right? And I've had the opportunity on and off the air, and some of these conversations I'm about to relay are more off the air type of conversations. But you and I, we assume these guys don't party during the playoffs, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what players have told me? Fuck no, we're still going out.
100%.
Could we get some Miami home court advantage here too? Where Cleveland says, you know what, we got to go back home anyways. We're gonna have game 1 back in Cleveland anyways. Why not get another game in? I'm not saying that they're trying to lose, but I'm just saying might not be as focused, right? They might kind of, Kenny Atkinson, right? They might not be paying attention the same way. And we talk about this before, and we do this in our NFL handicapping. It's not like these teams don't try 100% on the field on Sunday. where you get the lit down spot or whatever that is during the week when they're kind of just not paying attention. Maybe not showing up to practice early. Maybe just kind of rolling their eyes when the coach says, hey, you really got to focus on this guy. And they're like, yeah, okay, coach, sure. I'm pretty worried about Davion Mitchell raining threes on me, coach,
Right.
Mic back. It said it unplugged. I don't even know how that happened. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound a little bit different.
Yeah, I think it switched to my Bluetooth.
Okay. I can still hear you, though.
Let me switch back. I've listened to shows that I did on my Bluetooth before, and it was terrible.
Yeah, it sounds a little different for sure, but
break down a rock. I'm going to fix this real quick.
It sounds like you're back too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm back. I got it plugged in. But Warriors, Rockets.
Warriors, Rockets.
We don't know if Jimmy's going to play. I don't think we're going to know until tip-off. So I wrote about this game, and I basically said, don't expect to get the news before it tips. What do you think of this game, man? I mean, there's two ways to look at it from my perspective. Number one, the Warriors look pretty damn good at home without Jimmy. The Warriors have always been so much better at home, just in their whole little dynasty. Jimmy could be back, so that would just be a plus. I can't imagine he's going to bring the team down.
No.
Kind of thinking to play the Warriors here, or do we go zigzag? I don't know. The other way to look is just play the under and don't even think about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch a side here. My lean is Golden State. I'm with Tim here on he has the Warriors fatigue, and also just being a Lakers guy too.
Warriors fatigue. You root for LeBron since like 50 Cent was the top selling artist. Unbelievable. I mean, I think Master P was still putting out records when LeBron came in the league.
I don't want the Warriors to win. But I do.
What about loving greatness? Steph Curry.
I respect.
And to be fair, I think that, and this is fun. And I'll go ahead. We got some time, right? You don't need to get anywhere, right?
No, you're good.
To be fair, it kind of reminds me of Allen Iverson versus Shaq, and I grew up in that era. And Shaq was a better player than Iverson, right? Just if you want to win a championship, Shaq was better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone who wanted to be Shaquille O'Neal,
right?
Yet not everyone, but I knew a lot of people that wanted to be Allen Iverson. I didn't see barely any Shaq jerseys. Everyone had Iverson jerseys. Everyone had the little braids. Everyone was trying to copy him with the crossover that was back when I actually used to play pickup ball, right?
Yeah.
So my point is, even though Shaq was the better player, Iverson was more influential. And I say the same thing about Steph and LeBron. Like, as much as I hate him, I'll admit that peak LeBron, which to me was at the Heat, just because the athleticism was just still so unreal.
Mm-hmm.
But that's better than anything that Steph's ever done, right? But to me, Steph's way more influential. You go watch these kids play; they all want to shoot threes. Same deal. Like, I don't know a lot of people that like pattern their game after LeBron. Everyone seems to pattern their game off Steph. So I just want to say, Jayme, appreciate greatness. Don't be a hater. All right, go break down the Warriors.
Well, I real quick, I do appreciate Steph, and you are right on that. But it's also just like those guys are more relatable, especially the kids. They're like, they're smaller guys, skinnier guys, right? They're good shooters. It's kids that can do. Like, you can't look at Shaq, right, and be like, oh, I want to be like Shaq. No, you're not 7 foot, right, and you're not shredded to the gills. Like, oh, you don't want to say you want to be like LeBron because you're not 6'9", 270, and like the fastest guy on the court, right? That's slam and dunk. So they're just more relatable. So I definitely get it from that. And real quick, 'cause I know like Shaq, and look, a lot of respect for Shaq, but he has turned into an absolute like stone cold hater. And like this conversation of like Steph should be in the GO conversation is like absolutely ridiculous. At this point, we're just putting people in this conversation because like people just don't like LeBron. And like it's the weirdest thing to me. Steph Curry, there's two aspects to basketball, offense and defense. Steph is a defensive liability. He literally gets pulled at the end of games to put in a better defensive player. Would Michael Jordan
Mm-hmm.
ever get pulled late in games? Would LeBron James ever get pulled late in games because he's a liability defensively?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to stop this conversation. Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time, a phenomenal offensive player, 100%. Easily a top 10 player of all time. If you want to say top 5, you can. I don't even know necessarily if he's better than Magic. I think they're close. I wouldn't hate you if he said he is. But
Mm-hmm.
I just had to put that out there. That
That one's so
conversation to
tough
me
for
is
me. Best
insane.
point guard of all time. That one is so tough for me.
It is,
I
well, they're
really
just two
can't get
different
mad
players.
either way you go.
I'm
But
with
I'll
you.
just tell you, if we were on First Take and they made us argue and they gave me Magic Johnson, I would be able to go for days.
100%. And
Yeah.
I'm
Like
with
if you
you.
gave me LeBron over Mike, I would be kind of sick to my stomach. I'm like, I don't want to do this. You gave me Magic over Steph, fire me up. Let's go.
100%. So yeah, I just had to throw that out there real quick. The whole thing, it just drives me absolutely nuts. But as far as this game goes, I mean, Steph is still playing at a super high level, man. If they get Jimmy again, how well is Jimmy? I assume at this point, I think if Jimmy plays that he's closer to that probably 80 to 85%, right? Whereas
Yeah.
and if he would have played in game 3, was it? Yeah, because it's game 4. Yeah. So if he would have played in game 3, I think there was a chance he potentially could have been like 60%, which potentially could have hurt them. So if he plays, I think he's good enough to go. I just think the Warriors are a better team. I'm just not. I don't know. The Rockets, man, Jalen Green has to play better. Like, he just has way too many games recently outside of game 2 where he scores in single digits, and you just can't do that. Sengun also, like, I don't know, Draymond got in his head a little bit, man. Like, he kind of wrecked him. Like, he still had a double-double, I think, which is still good, but like, they didn't have anyone who could really go and get a bucket when you needed it to. I also saw way too many times where Dylan Brooks is like pulling up for jump shots and threes without passing the ball. And to me, that should never happen with Dylan Brooks. I get that he can make shots every now and again. I know he's a good defensive player, but he's not a guy that you want taking a bunch of threes or a bunch of looks. And I felt like late in the game he was taking a bunch of unnecessary looks. And I get worried because Houston to me doesn't necessarily have that guy that at the end of the game who's going to get the ball. I thought it was Şengün, but like I said, I felt like Draymond defended him really well. I thought Draymond had a really good defensive game in game 3. To me, this game in this series relies on Jalen Green. He doesn't have to score like 38 or whatever he did in game 2, but he's got to get double digits, and I think he's got to get like 20, man. If he can give you 20 and he can be a guy you can count on late, I think this team has a chance. I just don't trust him at this point. So my lean would be Golden State, but it is a stay away for me. I am not touching it. It will be another game where I will hate watch and I will be rooting for Houston. But like I said, lean is for Golden State. I mean, what do you think? Who does Houston have where late in the game you just feel confident is a guy that's gonna get you a bucket? Like, we know Steph is gonna get you a bucket, right? Like, who is that on Houston?
Well, I hate to be reductive, but this is to me the series. And I'm going to go
Yeah.
ahead and quote from the article I wrote about this today. It comes down to Jalen Green. In the game they won, scored 38 points.
38 points.
In game 1, he had 7 points and he was 3 of 15.
Yep.
In game 3, he had 9 points and he was 4 of 11.
Yep.
I mean, really, just are you going to bet over on Jalen Green's prop tonight? Because that's the way you're going on the side as well. That's the way I see it. Now, is he talented enough to do it? Yes, I think he is.
I think he is too.
I really want to bet on that, though. I don't think so. To me, it's Warriors or pass. And first of all, I'm Team Şengün. So the funniest part about this is I was saying that Şengün was the best player in that draft to Tyler when we were doing our pre-stuff. And he said Jalen Green was the best player in that draft. They ended up on the same teams. We're hand in hand. Team Rockets, right? This is so cool. Yeah. And you know what? I think I might just change the title of this show to Why Shaq Sucks. But Şengün reminds me of Shaquille O'Neal in a way where I can't trust him to hit his free throws, so I can't go to him at the very end of the game.
I know.
Because he's 70% from the line, and he's missed too many with the game on the line. I'll make him when I need to, right? Yeah. He doesn't even do that. He doesn't
No.
even do that. So it's all on Jalen Green here. Can he do it? Yes. If we're on here tomorrow and we're giving him his flowers, that would be great. I think it'd be better for
Yep.
the league. I
Yep.
want to see Houston do good. I don't want to see a 2 seed just get smoked out of the playoffs, right? And undo all the good things they've done in Houston this season. Because as a Kings fan, I'm so jealous of how they turned their team around, right? They traded their stars. They got a bunch of picks. They hit some, and they missed on some. But when you have that many picks, you can afford to draft Josh Christopher. You can afford to draft Cam Whitmore and just take a chance. And you miss. Oh, well. But, oh, my gosh, I'm so disappointed that we don't have – what's the kid's name? Or not kid, but the man running the Rockets.
Is it what's his name?
How am I blanking on this? Anyways, he's done a fantastic job. I want to say Stone. Is it Raphael Stone?
I don't know. Let me see.
I can't remember his name. Regardless of, he's doing a great job, and I'm so jealous that we don't have that type of leadership here in Sacramento. So, long-winded way of saying that, if you like the Rockets tonight, just swing for the fences. Do that performance double that Tyler loves. Just do Jalen Green over and Rockets win. Rockets are plus 156 on the money line. So you add the Jalen Green over 23.5 or whatever he's lined at. It's going to get you up to like plus 250, plus 275. If you like the Rockets, that's the way to go. Unfortunately, I don't.
Yep.
I do like the Warriors here. Probably going to just lay the 4. I don't know. The only reason I wouldn't is I just think it's better to just take the under and not even worry about who wins. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch a side. I also do have the series price of Houston plus 1.5. So I really would like a Houston win here. If it goes 3-1, it probably ends in 6, right?
It might even end in 5.
I mean, it could, but yeah, I think Houston could win at home. It's tough to win in Chase Center, man. It's tough to win in San Francisco. They're loud in there, man. It's I don't know. I'm staying away
I
from
think a
everything
problem
on
that
here.
Houston's having is tell me Ime Udoka isn't just a younger version of Tom Thibodeau. Just one of the
Yeah.
best defensive coaches we've ever seen. And the offense is just like, I don't know what the Tecmo Bowl comparison is, but when they put the offensive coordinator and it's his playbook and it's the 4
Yep.
Tecmo Bowl plays, doesn't it just feel like that? It's like just
100%.
running ISO for our best guy. Great work, fellas. Great work. This is really innovative. Well, I can't wait to tune in and see this tonight. But you can't knock him.
No.
Because he took a team that was in the lottery last year and they're the 2 seed.
Yeah.
You can't knock Thibodeau. But when it comes to competing for a championship, we can admit, just like some of these coaches, maybe my guy Tomlin's suffering the same deal, that it's all on one side of the ball and the offense is so uncreative. It's just hard to see in the new league. Like defense wins championships, 40 years ago. Go watch Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox. That's not, they've changed the rules. It's not like that anymore. You need to be a balanced team. So I like the Warriors -4 here the more we talk about it, but I love the under. So if I only made 2 bets for tonight, like one on each game, I'll take the Heat plus 4.5 first half and the under 203 in this Rockets game.
I like it.
All right. Thank you for joining me, Jayme. For those who don't know, Jayme has been so kind to join us. Tyler's really focusing on the NFL right now. He did great work for the draft. He's getting some best ball stuff together right now. He's still watching the NBA, but he said, hey, if you guys want to go early without me and knock these shows out and just talk NBA for an hour and 15 minutes, which we've just done, go ahead and knock it out. And I'm only able to do that because you're so kind to join us. Jayme, final thoughts on the NBA here.
Yeah, excited for this one. Clyde, man, you got to chill out with the Vikings talk, man. All right, we're not there yet. All right, let's give it a few months, and then
Sam Howell. Are you a little worried there?
Yeah.
Sam Howell's in your division now.
I'm petrified, man. I'm petrified. No, I'm excited to see what happens, man. We got some fun games. Tonight's games, I mean, the last game should be good. But once we get to round 2, man, I'm excited. We're going to have some really good matchups either way, however any of this stuff plays out. So I'm excited for it, man. It's the best time of the year.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, as much as I really enjoy being an old guy hater, this has been fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
This has been great basketball. I mean, and can you imagine if that Pistons series was 2-2 as well, or if the Bucks had managed to pull it out as well? I mean, we see some great basketball. We knew that Cleveland and Boston was going to be a joke. We knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it. We knew the East had 6 teams, right? It was a 6-team division. And we even talked about it in the play-in. They're all just fighting for the chance. But we said, hey, over in the West, right?
Yeah.
A 7 seed could make the finals.
Yep.
An 8 seed potentially. Now that turned out to be not true at all. Oh, we didn't talk about that. We left that out.
Which one?
The Grizzlies getting swept.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's good. Good run. They actually put a little bit of decent effort in, but it's I think we all kind of assumed that.
Yeah. Interesting. We talk about Giannis going out. If I were Memphis, I would move on from Ja. Well, you still got value.
I mean,
I just don't see what you're building there. It reminds me of Sacramento almost. They're obviously better than Sacramento, but right, like our big three is just simply not good enough. Like your big three is Ja, Desmond, and Jaren Jackson. Those are all great players, and they can all contribute to a championship team. Just you don't have the top 5, top 10 guy that's going to get you over the hump, right? Same with the Kings, right? Well, maybe Sabonis. I'm not sure if he can contribute to a championship team. I actually think Levine could as a third scorer. I mean, imagine if Levine was on Houston, right? And we just had that conversation. Where do we go to get a bucket? I think he could get me a bucket, right? And I think that Houston could absorb his defense. So just because you're in a bad situation doesn't mean you're in a bad player. And I feel that's kind of what's going on in Memphis. And maybe these owners and these front offices will learn something that we've all known since the day we were born. They slapped me when I was a baby, and I knew this. Probably shouldn't fire your coach with 2 weeks to go in the season.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Probably not a good idea.
Probably not good. Yeah, pretty much throw in the towel.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so OKC's advanced. They're going to play the winner of this Clippers Nuggets series. If you were OKC, who would you want to play more? I'd rather play Denver. I think Clippers are more dangerous. I think they match up better, right? They're like a veteran version of our team.
I think you'd rather play Denver. Yeah. I think so. Clippers have the size too. I think Kawhi and Harden it could pose a little bit of an issue for OKC, right? I'm not necessarily sure if OKC has,
and they have the defense to match them and get stops.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if they have the wing defenders, and I think your best path, right? I think Kawhi guarding SGA, I think is like probably your best chance. Whereas who on Denver is going to guard SGA?
I wouldn't put Kawhi on him. They'll put Chris Dunn on him.
Yeah, you're right. You definitely would put Chris Dunn. I mean, I think Kawhi would guard him at moments, but I do think majority of the time would be Chris Dunn. Yeah, you're right. I kind of forgot about Chris Dunn. I mean, he's become a really good defender, and that's kind of just his role. But I can still see them playing Kawhi on him at certain times for sure.
Yeah, with the game on the line, probably. But I think they would let him rest because he's been so crucial. To the Clippers offense. So, Jayme, you up to join me tomorrow?
Yep, I'm in, man.
4 Eastern work for you?
4 Eastern. Yep, let's do it.
All right. We might have Tyler. I'll talk to him. Today he said he couldn't make it this early, but I knew that Jayme and I were going to talk forever.
Yeah.
So I figured we should start early. That's why I said, hey, 3 Eastern. You said, let's make it 2:30. And I said, great.
Yep.
Because you know what's the best part about going early? Let's say someone tunes in at 1. I mean, they can't chat with us, but they can still see the show.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yep. If you guys just tuned in now, or you just scroll to the end for the picks, I'm on Miami first heat plus 4.5. I'm on Warriors under 203 tonight. And Jayme, give them your plays for tonight.
So real quick, Jimmy Butler is expected to play. That was just announced by Shams. So I know someone asked that in the chat a little bit ago. I am on the Heat money line as plus 310. I don't recommend telling that. I mean, you can if you want, but that's just a play betting on Spo. And the other bet is Evan Mobley under 3.5 assists. I think the fair value on that is about minus 180. So I still think there's a little bit of juice there. But those are the plays that I'm on. So let's have a good night.
Thank you for joining us, man. Fun conversation today.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. Anytime we get a little LeBron, a little debate in there.
But I think that we set a good example that you can disagree with people and you don't have to block them
Yeah.
quit listening to them, right? I mean, we had some good discourse here. And, I think that as a Lakers fan, you should be excited. I don't think that series is over. I wish it was. I wish we could just watch basketball and not have to talk about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like it always goes back to that with LeBron.
Oh, it's every time with that. But I'll just end it with this: spread, bed, cornbread, Lakers in 7.